What's going on, friends? Zach here, full-time reseller, and I'm back at it again. I'm coming at you this morning with some of my recent sales from yesterday and overnight. And total, I had 12 sales. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and share each item with you. I'll tell you what I paid for it. I'll give you an idea of what the item sold for. And as I've done in the past, I'll share with you specific keywords that I used in the description or in the title to garnish a better sale. So let's get this thing going. So this first item I sold was a North Face women's plush line jacket. And this jacket here only sold for $28. That does include shipping. I've had this jacket for over a year now, and because it wasn't from an upgraded line, it was just a very basic North Face jacket, I believe that's why it was kind of slow to sell. North Face is also kind of saturated in some of their lines, and some of their basic lines can be a little bit slow to sell when it comes to hooded sweatshirts or fleece pullovers. And so I've really backed off buying some North Face, but nonetheless, I only gave $6 for this at a garage sale. So what was sold on it was profit. And I used keywords like camping, hiking, plush lined, dry, windproof. All of those things will get the attention of potential buyers to help push a quicker sale. So this next guy here is a Sitka long sleeve crew neck. And this here only sold for $19.50. I let it go a little bit cheaper because it had several blotches on it on the black fabric that appeared to probably just be detergent stains. But for all you hunters out there, you probably know that Sitka is top of the line. And anytime I have top of the line garments, whether it be camping, hunting, work utility, any of that stuff, if it has a flaw in it and you're just good about describing it, you can typically still sell it, especially if the item sells for a lot of money in the retail space. And so Sitka is definitely one of those. And I've sold several Sitka shirts before that were also flawed. Made a little bit better money. Not sure why this guy didn't sell for a little bit more, but nonetheless, it's all profit. I only gave $3 for this guy at a thrift store. So happy with the return. So I always say that Carhartt is my business partner, and a big thing I try to encourage people to do when they're watching my videos is to go out and find a brand that is very common in your area and go to town with it. If you can find brands that are very common and predominant in your area, especially the ones that have good sell-through rates, it's just gonna make your reselling game that much easier. And so for me, Carhartt is very common because we have a lot of industry, a lot of oil field, and a lot of construction going on at any given time. And so I constantly am coming across Carhartt pants, jackets, shirts, and I really love anything made out of duck canvas. And so these guys right here are very basic, and these only sold for, $29.38. Most men's jeans, I tack on about $10 shipping. And so women's jeans, I go a little bit less because women's jeans are lighter and a little bit smaller. But this is a bread and butter sale for me. And as you'll see as the video goes on, I have more Carhartt items I'll share with you. This here is a Forge flame resistant woman's button-up work shirt. And I was able to buy this as part of a lot over the summer at a garage sale. The lot included a ton of flame-resistant women's wear. It had shirts, pants, a Carhartt flame-resistant jacket, and it also came with a bunch of Nike and Oakley hats, as well as a couple Hui hats that were new with tags. And so I bought the whole lot for $168, I believe. And when I broke it down, I paid $4.38 per item. And so this guy right here was one of the last shirts to sell, and it only went for $23.50, but that's okay because everything else sold very quickly, and especially the hats. And I'll share one of the hats with you here in just a minute. And so this guy right here, just a bread and butter moneymaker for me. Now these are Cableron vintage gloves from the 60s, and I had some success last summer selling several pairs like this, different brands. But one thing you want to be cautious with selling any vintage clothing is the wear factor. So a lot of vintage garments and gloves and hats can be pretty beat up. So you always want to give them a good eye scan. You want to make sure if they're a button-up shirt that all the buttons are present, and really try to look over the items well. With these gloves, I went ahead and made sure that the interior netting was not torn, because that can be kind of common in older gloves. And I also gave them the smell test, because a lot of gloves can stink, and these guys were very clean, they didn't smell. And so I only sold these for $12.50, which may not sound like a whole lot of profit, but I only paid 50 cents for them. So I'm super happy with that return on investment. And I love selling vintage clothing, but vintage clothing can sometimes take a little bit longer to sell. It just takes that right person to come along and want that item. So I want to give a big shout out to one of the ladies I source goods from. I love you, Brenda. Brenda's a good family friend of mine, and she also runs a thrift store in my local area, and she is just always hooking me up with items, literally giving me huge discounts. So I sold several things from her store, and I'll share them with you today. But the first item is this pair of men's Levi's 511. I let these go a little bit cheaper than I generally do for most Levi's pants, but because they are skinny, I priced them down. Skinny's just not selling real well for me, nor is slim. And so these only sold for $24.95, but they sold in a couple days. So I'm kind of wishing I would have marked them up a couple more bucks, but that's okay. I never want to hold on to any item too long, and items that are sitting in your real estate space for too long are not going to help your sales or not going to help your business. And so I'm always trying to find items that have a high sell-through rate. And for the items that are not moving very quick, I start giving them some attention with the listing. And that might mean just changing the pictures around or adding something to the description box or dropping the price. And so these guys, I'm glad they moved quick. I only gave $3 for them. So that's still a pretty good sale. All right, so coming back to my business partner, these here are Carhartt double knee pants, and double knee pants will go for more money than the typical Carhartt carpenter pants, and that's because they have this extra patch on the front thigh, and that keeps the legs or knees from actually getting holes in them. And so with this item, I use keywords like construction, builder, plumber, carpet layer. Those are the guys that are really beating up clothing, and especially the guys that are working from the ground. I personally know a friend, a neighbor of mine who's a plumber, and he wears these all the time. He just tells me that nothing else holds up with plumbing like Carhartt double knee pants. So these guys here I did let go for a little bit cheaper than most double knee pants. These went for $45. I did let them go for $5 cheaper, but I have sold gravel gray Carhartt double knee pants for upwards of $70 to $80 if they're in good shape. And so sometimes size and colorway can make a huge difference on the item you're selling. And with some Carhartt jackets, that's even the case. I've had great success selling spruce green, moss green, and also gravel gray Carhartt jackets. So keep your eyes out for those funky colored Carhartts. They'll make you some money. And so again, this is just one of my business partners. And wouldn't you know, it's another pair of Carhartts. However, these are just the basic contractor pants. These went for much cheaper. I sold these for $28.66. I only paid $2 for these at a garage sale though. So you can see where the profit margin is pretty good. And you will see that I've now sold 3 pairs of Carhartts overnight. So now you know why I call it my business partner and why I love it. I use keywords like duck canvas, workwear, work utility, oil filled, heavy equipment operator. All of those things are going to garnish a quicker sale. So don't be lazy with your listings. Try to spend a little bit more time in your description box or in your title box. Those are the words that are going to really capture the attention of a potential buyer. So here we go again, selling more workwear. Again, these are items that I find predominantly in my community because again, there's a lot of industry and oil field. This is a brand new key flame resistant duck canvas work jacket. It does have the tags on it, but it does have an outside company's embroidery on the front chest, and it also has a woman's name embroidered. But that didn't matter because I sold this guy for $70 and I only gave $5 for it at a garage sale. So I'm super happy with that. This past summer, I was able to source over 50 duck canvas jackets, mainly Carhartt, but some of the off brands as well. And this is just one of them. And I paid very little for all of those jackets. And I've sold just about all of them in the last 3 months because Q4 was pretty good to this guy. So this is an Oakley tin can hat. It is new with tags. And this is one of those hats that I told you earlier in this video that I bought as part of a lot with a lot of women's flame resistant clothing. I believe this is the last Oakley hat I have. They all sold very quickly, and most of them sold for around $24, $25. I did do free shipping on these hats because they're pretty lightweight, and I don't do a whole lot of free shipping. So once in a while, I might send off a pair of beat up shoes for free, but I do a lot of free shipping on my hats. This guy right here was $4.38 when I broke down everything I bought in the lot. And so Not the best profit, but everything else I bought as part of that lot made me a lot of money. So if you can buy a lot of goods, do it. I suggest it. You can often drive the price down by buying in bulk or bundling. So these last two items are hard goods, and I love selling hard goods, but unfortunately in the winter months, because I thrift, it's hard to make a living off straight hard goods. When the summer months and the spring comes around and I start garage selling, I get my hands on a lot more hard goods, and I truly do love selling hard goods. But like I said, in the winter months, the thing that's most consistent for me is clothing, and so I've made a good living out of clothing. But nonetheless, this guy here is a Pyrex vintage flameware double broiler. These are used for culinary, baking, candy making. You can melt chocolate in them, and a lot of little old ladies are out across the country looking for these in good condition. I want to shout out another friend who also owns another thrift store, Candy. Thank you. She was helping a friend at a garage sale to price items, even though she has her own business, and she sold this to me for $1. This Pyrex sold for $64.50. I did tack on some pretty heavy shipping on it, and I suggest you do that with fragile items, and be sure you take the time to really wrap up the fragile items good. Make sure you separate all the parts and put cardboard in between them. These are all just things I'm sharing with you because I had to learn the hard way from breaking things in my early days shipping Pyrex. And I'm not real big on selling Pyrex, but I do it because both my grandmothers had Pyrex, and so anytime I come across a piece, I usually can find it for pretty cheap. And if it's got a good pattern print on it, or it's something like this that's kind of rare, I generally can make some pretty good money off of it. So like I said, $1 into $64.50. That's a pretty good return on my investment. So I'm saving the last item I sold, which is probably my favorite and the coolest one. And this is probably the sale of the week. This is a limited edition Target Furby from the late 90s. Again, a good friend of mine, Brenda, I love you, sold this to me for a really great deal. She had this listed at $45 because she knew it was worth some cash, but she sold it to me for 15 bucks. I'm super grateful for that. I sold this guy in just 2 days. I sold it for $145 plus $12 shipping. And as you can see, the box is very damaged, but fortunately it's just the box that took the damage. The Furby itself is still connected to the base of the box. I made sure and added some pictures describing that, showing all the damage to the box, and also describing that the box had never been opened, that all of the Scotch tape seals were still connected, and there was really no blemishes to the box other than the crumpling and a split in the plastic. So take the time to be descriptive in your listings, whether it's flaws, whether it's upgraded materials that the item consists of. All those things are just going to help to get you a better sale. So I hope that you found this video helpful. If you made it this far, please hit like. I'm trying to grow my following, and I love sharing my reselling adventures with you. And if you would, please comment. If you've seen something on this video that maybe you've sold in the past and you've made better money or less, let me know. I'd love to visit with people about their reselling adventures and their endeavors. And if you would, please subscribe. I'm out of here. We'll do it again next time.